The play you're about to see is one of 8 readings of plays in progress under the collective title Wexford Playwrights Studio, produced by the Wexford Arts Centre and supported by Wexford County Council and the Arts Council. At various stages of these works, the writers had the mentoring input of the Wexford playwright Billy Roche, the dramaturg Thomas Conway, and the playwright Deirdre Kinahan. We've now taken the latest draft of the works and given each a day of rehearsal and a half day of filming over a 2-week period with 12 actors assigned across the 8 plays. The process, though brief, has given all the writers an acute sense of what is working and not working in their plays, and a good basis for moving on to the next stage of development towards an eventual production. There are 4 female and 4 male writers of varying ages represented here, and we've been struck by the range and depth of talent on display. These plays are not yet the finished article, but I think they are a strong indication that creative writing for the stage is alive and well in Wexford and the South East. Enjoy.
The set is that of a comfortable living room, but taking up space is a podcast setup at a dining table. 3 mics, a laptop, and a switch box connecting it all. A beat. And then Tom Hooks enters, carrying a tall paper cup of takeaway coffee. He checks the settings, prowls around, finally taking a seat at one mic. Tom checks the time, sets himself up, places a set of headphones on, leans into the mic.
Testing. Brendan, are you okay? Are you okay, Brendan?
Yeah, boss. How are you doing?
Yeah, ask me again in an hour. How am I sounding?
Coming in loud and clear. Sarah's just on the line there to have a quick chat with you.
Doing a wonder test, put her through.
Hey, I guess you're doing the show despite today.
Are you reading me? Are you reading me? Sorry, kiddo, I'm just getting ready to air. You okay?
Not really. I'd like to talk. I'd like you to talk. I'd like you to not make me feel like an old wife nagging you about putting cigarette ash into Coke cans around children when I ask you to talk.
Brendan, how are we doing? Ash into Coke cans.
My granddad used to do it. I drank one once, it sucked. I don't know why that came to mind.
Coming in loud and clear. Little bit of crackle when you move.
What have we got going on today?
Should be just coming up on your screen now.
Sarah, look.
I know. You're going to air. I wish you'd just... Can we talk about all this? I think you're in denial about what all this means. You're disconnecting.
Not in denial, it's going to be the lead of the show, but there's other things going on besides me. Brendan, what's going on in the world? Babe, kiddo, Sarah, I have to...
I know. I'll call you back. I love you. Thanks, Brendan. Have a good show.
No problem at all. I'll make sure he's okay. Okay, boss. Big story is the beating of the gay couple outside the cinema. That's definitely something that's going to come up. It's a bit of a mess. Yeah, she's right, boss. I think you might want to talk about it.
Yeah, I've got dead on 9. How about you?
Yeah, dead on 9. You good to go?
Ready to rumble!
Tom checks his coffee, still too hot. He leans into the mic and away we go.
Good evening, folks. It's 9 p.m. on the button. You're listening to the 2-time award-winning Hooked In podcast, broadcasting live. Yes, you heard me correctly, live. From right here in my living room, unfettered, into your ears from my unfiltered potty mouth. We're gonna lay our chips right out on the table and see where they land. Who am I? Oh, just your friendly neighborhood host, 2-time award-winning stand-up Tom Hooks. And today, folks, I'm currently listening to The Swans, enjoying the Netflix series The Alienist. And what else? Oh yeah, a couple of hours ago I was told I'm gonna die. But unlike most of you, dying slowly is part of your existential journey on this planet. Apparently I'm due in about 3 months' time. Bummer. But like the professional I am, I'm here as always, ready to talk to you, my avid, rabid listeners. In the news today, protests, anger, and state complicity in violence against minorities. A horrendous hate crime perpetrated by typically toxic male bigots as a young gay couple are savagely beaten outside a cinema. Is this really the country we grew up in? Oh, yes. But how can we fight it? Let's talk poultry, politics, death, ducks, and much, much more. So much more, in fact, it's getting me just a little bit horned up. Let's have a couple of words from our sponsors in one of the most awkward segues between original and paid content yet. Brendan, bit of sexy funk to underlay this important message from our sponsors?
Brendan complies with a little bit of porned-up funk music. Though Tom might take a sponsor seriously, that doesn't mean he can't have fun with them.
Folks, we all like sexual intercourse, right? Those of us who can do, and those of us who can't should wait for the right time with the right person. Sure, everyone likes sex, but no one likes getting venereal diseases. And sometimes, just sometimes, we like to make love with impunity against cod creatures coming out 9 or so months later. I know I do, and that's why today's sponsors are my favorite brand of condom, Durex. Sex doesn't always come consequence-free, ladies and gentlemen, but if you wear Durex condoms, at least you know you can. Durex condoms, 99.99% effective against sexually transmitted diseases and pregnancy, 100% lab tested, and 54% Tom Hooks guaranteed to stop you shooting your load before getting started. But that's from my own personal experience. That's my own endorsement. Durex have not paid me to say that. That's just my own flavor. Yeah, folks, I've had a couple of complaints winging their way into my inbox, angry missives dedicated to the ignominy that we've deigned to allow ourselves to be sponsored by a condom company in these increasingly conservative times. Yeah, I'm going to take a wild guess it's on the strength of some recently outspoken views I expressed on a friend's Twitch stream in favor of abortion. So I just like to take a short second to say to anyone out there riding that line of outrage, fuck your mothers! And don't forget to wear a condom. I know I will.
He presses a button on the pad in front of him, and the porn music fades as the title music for his podcast plays out, while he sits thoughtfully. Finally, over the theme as it plays out.
Folks, welcome to Hooked In. Yeah, forgive my grit today. I'm feeling a little bit salty. Strange times call for strange retorts. And make no mistake about it, listeners of mine, these are the strangest of times. Joining me as always for what promises to be an off-roading roller coaster of a show is Techie Brendan. So, why don't we get right into it?
The final beats of his theme tune riff out. As it does, he lifts his coffee to his lips, takes a sip, and immediately regrets it as it burns his mouth. The music finishes.
You think you're an adult, you've grown up, you've learned valuable lessons in life about everything, but the one fucking thing no one ever learns is not to drink takeout coffee for at least 3 weeks after it's popped, because it's always too fucking hot. Folks, I'm not gonna lie, I've had better days. I've been officially diagnosed with terminal cancer by someone who I have to assume is telling the truth and not gleefully indulging in the beginnings of an incredibly creative but ultimately cruel bit just to owe me. That's probably just a paranoia peculiar to the day job. And in my early days of doing stand-up comedy, back in the days when we were all ripping off Bill Hicks without really understanding what made him great, it never occurred to me I'd be edging into the very latter days of my life, sitting alone in front of a mic, talking to the great and mostly silent, unwashed out there, beaming all my sick and twisted thoughts right into your minds. It never occurred to me that not only would I want to do this, but that sometimes I might need to do it, like today. Back in the day, it was all fast talking, politics, dick jokes, and cocaine. I don't even know if people remember what cocaine is. Now we're in the future and everything's online and digital, and most people are just mainline and uncut hate. Brendan, cocaine's not really your thing, is it? You haven't partaken in the white man's powder.
I have not.
Too scared, you millennial milquetoast coward.
Well, that and also the benefit of acquired knowledge and learning.
You're a weed guide, all right?
When I can.
When you can or whenever you can.
Yeah, I guess whenever I can.
Yeah, you've got to have some kind of vice to keep the torrents of misery the shit-eating world keeps vomiting back up on us at bay, right?
Well, that and I just like to get high.
How are you doing? You gonna be okay? Not too worried about the whole boss dying thing?
No, not really. You've got what, like 3 months?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Okay, well sure, as long as you write me a good reference and help me get my CV together, I think I've pretty much got it covered.
Well, you'll be okay after I die.
I'll be good, I think. Probably before you die if I get myself together.
Good to have nearly famous early noughties stand-up comic Tom Hooks on the CV, though.
Yeah, sure. Oh, and my degree in sound engineering. If anything, I'll probably be better off not mentioning working for you and just blame COVID for the gap in my CV.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you'll be okay, Techie Brendan. I had for a moment been really concerned for you.
Nah, that's okay, I'll be good. This will get me thinking laterally about my future.
Well, I'm glad to be of service to you. You're getting high right now.
Not as far as you know.
Of course, back in my day, back in the heydays when comedians were the kings and queens traveling the circuit of terrible venues, tiny theaters and angry bars. Back before Netflix gobbled up the best and Amazon stole the rest. It's all about getting fucked up on speedballs and coke, then rage spitting at your audience. I started my stand-up career when I was 16 years old and soon became a cocaine-fueled attack dog. We'd have laughed at people like Brendan at that age. If you ever mentioned weed around us, hard liquor drinking, hard drug nose quaffing comics, we grew out of ourselves, of course, and I no longer toot, and I'm a little more sanguine. That just might be the antidepressants the doc gave me. I've never been a weed guy, but I have to tell you right now, I'd give both balls and maybe even a part of the shaft if I could talk a little dope right now. Is that how you say it? I don't know. Do people still talk dope, Brendan? Or is my parlance showing my age? Alongside my use of the word parlance?
No, we still talk.
Still talking spliffs, talking doobies. Folks, I gotta tell you, I gotta give you a trigger warning before we really dig into today's show. It's not gonna be an easy ride. And I can completely understand if we lose listeners as we go along. No easy way to say this, folks. It's been confirmed by a man for who all I know could have been just been cosplaying as an oncologist that Tom's cancer is terminal. Stage 3 to boot. But the worst thing today, the real shadow here is being confronted with the reality that I'm not as funny as I think I am. And bear in mind, I'm a professional. I don't know if you've heard this already, I'm a professional comedian. That's literally my one job. And the only thing that could come out of my ordinarily hilarious mouth when he told me I was dying was, fuck! Fuck. Imagine being given that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to knock something so sublimely hilarious out of the proverbial ballpark and prove your substance as a genius comic, and the only thing to come out of your mouth is fuck. In fact, it was down to my girlfriend Sarah to break the ice with something that literally made me cry and laugh at the same time. I said fuck, and she replied, in front of the cancer doctor? Is there a name on that? Crying and laughing at the same time? I feel like there has to be. Brendan, you're usually good with this kind of thing. Is there a name on it?
I don't know. I've heard of cranking. Crying while having a wank.
Yeah, I know the term and the sensation well. Folks, I don't know how to feel right now. I don't even feel sick. That's the kicker. Though I was reliably informed by Dr. Possible comedy bit that's normal. Do I sound disappointed? Do I want to feel sick? I don't know. No, I don't want to be sick, but shouldn't I get some of the perks of having cancer? Ending an argument by coughing up a tiny spot of blood into the center of a white hanky? Fading out while buying 6 bottles of whiskey? Dashing to the ground in a gentle swoon of, oh my word, and waking up to the panic of others? I don't know, apparently that's only movie cancer. Real cancer, that's feeling okay until you don't, I guess. I don't know. Bear with me, folks. It's my first terminal disease. How we doing on the phone lines?
Yeah, we're good, boss. Got a few in there now.
Now, another trigger warning for those of you out there with a sensitive disposition. I don't want commiserations. I don't need to know you're sorry. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm telling you now, so that's it. Okay, we can move on. You know, most people, they contact their family, their loved ones, they cry down the phone when they're diagnosed with something like this. Me, I immediately started thinking about how I could exploit it to be funny. But that's what we do, right? Comedians travel, laugh at ourselves, our own lives, go on the road and turn our travails into blackly comic one-man dramedies about how daddy fucked us up. If only to give us permission to laugh at others. Okay, folks, we're going to take a short break, connect the lines, and see what's happening out there in the real world. Back in a few.
Looped break music plays out, under which Tom sits thoughtfully for a moment, blowing on his coffee.
Sarah's back in the line real quick, boss. Put her through. You there?
Yeah, go for it. Hey, all good. We haven't talked for like 10 minutes.
Don't be a dick. I know it's your default setting. I just wanted to check in. How are you holding up?
Yeah, as long as I'm working, I'm doing okay. Give your line a shout out.
You should have let me come home with you. You shouldn't be doing
Yeah, you know me, I work better like this.
We should talk about this. You need to talk about it. You're going to burn out, I can hear it.
Sarah, I got about 10 seconds before the music loop ends. I'm dealing.
I don't think you are. You need to be open. You need to at least tell people how they...
6 seconds.
What do I need to do? Phone into the show to actually get you to talk to me about this?
4 seconds. Time is running out.
Okay, fine. I'll be listening. I love you. Tell me if you need me.
You too. Brendan, you there?
You need anything, boss?
Yeah, just a couple of good phone calls to get us through the day. Yeah, and new taste buds. Take away coffee, hotter than Australian climate change, but we never learn. I guess there's a keen lesson in there somewhere. Ready to rumble?
Got a couple of calls already waiting. You looking for blood up or cheer up calls, or both?
Whatever comes my way, B, whatever comes my way. Let's go random. We're back, folks. Gonna take a couple of calls, read a couple of IMs as we go. Okay, you're calling from an 07 area code. Who are you, and what's on your mind?
Hi, Tom. It's Carol from Limerick, long-time listener.
Carol from Limerick. How are you doing, Carol from Limerick?
I'm trying to hold on to my emotions here, Tom. Is this for real? I can't believe it.
Do you mean, am I dying? Too true to be true, I know, but it is, alas.
No, but how did this happen? What happened? Oh God, I can't believe it. Like, I listen to you all the time. Oh, you make me laugh.
Well, that's what I do.
Oh, you're my guilty pleasure. Oh, you can be so rude, you know. At first, I thought it was a joke, but oh, I can't believe it. You never even mentioned, are you joking? Oh, I can't believe it. It doesn't make sense.
I know it doesn't, Helen, but life is made up of myriad confusing minutiae that all add up to a grand sum of nothing in the end. And this is just another part of that. Anything else you'd like to talk about? There's a great big wide world out there ready to natter on.
I'm just so sorry. I can't believe it. You must be so scared of what's coming. I just can't.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Carl. Is there anything else on your mind? You want to talk about some comedy? Barm the Rash. Who's your favourite comedian?
Oh, I can't talk about comedy at a time like...
Try, Carol. You know, for me, let's lighten the mood. Who besides me is your favourite comedian?
Well, to tell you the truth, Tom, I don't really like today's comedy. You know, it's all very... Oh, what's the term they use? It's all very politically correct, isn't it? You know, I just love your voice. Oh, you can be so rude sometimes, you know. I don't know how you talk in front of people like that. That would just terrify me.
Yeah, you like the ribald, Carol. Naughty words and vulgarity.
No, I love to laugh.
Don't we all? Indulge me. Who makes you laugh, Carol? Who tickles your funny bone? I'm interested to hear what listeners of my podcast laugh at. Especially if it's not me.
Well, I don't really like that much of today's comedy. Comedians aren't allowed to be funny anymore, you know. I like listening to you. You're so fearless, you know. What's to be honest, I much prefer funny TV programmes, you know, like Father Ted. Oh, that wasn't politically correct, remember?
Yeah, I do, yeah, the early 90s Irish priest comedy. That was a funny programme, wasn't it?
Oh, wasn't it though? Oh, Dougal just made me laugh. He's just so thick, you know. This is small Dougal, and that's far away. Hilarious.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? The fact that Dougal couldn't tell the difference between something that was directly in front of him and something that was very far away. Very clever comedy.
They just don't do comedy on TV like that anymore. They just don't, you know, it's all...
Politically correct, yeah. Let me ask you a question though, Carol. It doesn't bother you that one of the creators of that admittedly hilarious early 90s comedy is an avowed and insistent transphobic bigot? He used his entitled platform to needlessly spread hate about a small group of struggling, marginalised people.
I mean, I don't know anything about that, you know, it's just...
It's just funny, the one cow is a toy and the other is an actual cow in the field, but the hilariously dim-witted comedy priest can't tell the difference. I hear you. That is funny comedy, all right. Do you have any opinions on, you know, separating the artist from the art?
No, Tom, I just can't believe you're going to die.
When Tom says thanks for your call to a caller, that's Brendan's cue to cut the feed.
Thanks for your call, Carol. It's very much appreciated. Folks, platitudes will get you everywhere, but let's get some kind of deeper conversation going. You know, if you want to talk about something, come armed. No offense to Carol from Limerick, your call is appreciated, and being fair, you didn't bring it up. But folks, if you think comedy is too politically correct, tell me why. Don't just repeat the mantra. Is it too politically correct because we can't punch down anymore? Has comedy been destroyed because those pesky libtards forced in us an inability to mock the vulnerable for cheap laughs? Tell me what you think. I'll debate you if I disagree, but I promise not to hurt you too much. And remember, I literally have no more time left to waste. Calling from an 041 area code, who are you and what's on your mind?
Hi Tom, this is Brian from Mayo. How are you doing there today? How's everyone? Is everyone okay? Well, I'm grand. Here now. Listen, is it true that you're dying of something or something? I was eating a banana while I was waiting for me call to go through.
Yeah, it is Brian from Mayo, from the cancer, alas.
Jesus, that's terrible for you. Here now, listen, I was just phoning in to tell you a funny thing that happened to me. I thought you being a funny man and all that, you'd appreciate this.
We're all ears, Brian from Mayo. I'm all about the comedy.
Now, are you familiar with Clonburr at all? It's sort of betwixt and between Mayo and Galway, though technically now it's Mayo, but sure, you do go driving through the windings of roads that takes you through both, sure. You don't know where you do be at all half the time.
Yeah, I've been to Clonburr, great for fishing or so I've heard. Not much in the way of comedy clubs, but I did do a gig at a stag night many months ago.
You fish, do you? I retired from the banking about 5 years ago and I haven't been off the water since. Do you fish yourself?
I do not, but I've heard tell it's great for it, so it is Clonburr.
Now you've taken a little wander off the beaten track of me story now, but Jesus, you should go out there next May now. Sure, I'll take you out myself. I'll gilly for you on the boats if you want. We'll go out and mayfly fish, so we will. And Geraldine, that's my wife, she'll make us ham rolls. Some great owl lakes for the fishing out there now with Mask and the rest.
Yeah, okay, Brennan. Let me just look at my diary to see if I'll be available in May. And no, unfortunately, I won't be alive, alas. Otherwise, I would take you up on your generous offer. Thanks for the call, Brian. Do you think his funny story involved toy cows? That's cruel. I apologise, but you know, the day that's in it. I hope you get to go fishing on Loch Mass, Brian, and maybe catch one with my name on it. Maybe Geraldine could cook it. I don't like to think of myself as a cruel person, but you know, to do the job I do, you got to have something twisted at your core. There is something masochistic about doing this, I think. It's not as funny if someone says or does something nice, unless you find something damaged inside yourself to mock because you respond badly to decency. I tried not to be mean, but you know, I can't help it sometimes. It's my default setting. Like poor Carol there. I could have been nice to you. I really could have, but you brought up the wrong thing, I guess, and that's not on you. You triggered me. My skin is paper thin today.
You okay, Skip? You've gone dead. Have we lost you?
Not yet. Sorry, folks, sorry about that. I've got Brendan whispering in my ear, a little worry because I left out what we call in the business dead air. Dead air. I apologize. Dead air. It can seem like a lifetime, but in reality, it might only be seconds. But then, isn't that what a lifetime is? Seconds pass and you look over your shoulder and it's all behind you. Carol, you asked me if I was afraid of dying. Am I afraid of dying? I don't know. Everyone's frightened of it, right? When you're actually put in that position. I think we'd drive ourselves insane if we gave it too much thought otherwise. Dying's an abstract. Life is made up of conditional biases. If a thing hasn't happened yet, we think it never will. I'm not dead yet! 30 years a comedian. Started when I was 16, much to my father's great chagrin. He wanted me to get a real job, still does. My first stand-up routine was in a tiny bar where I stood up and told jokes about the teachers I wanted to have sex with. But I've honed my craft, and it is a craft for 30 years. I've moved on now, obviously. Now I talk about the kind of 16-year-olds I'd like to, you know, you get older, your tastes change, your comedy evolves. Okay, let's read a couple of IMs. Let's get a feel of how you're feeling out there in the world. Dogs Love Cat says, "Hey Tom, sorry to hear about the diagnosis. Hope this chews you up." Yeah, and it's a link to a gif of a cat vomiting at a dog's fart. It does. That does really cheer me up. Thank you. Thank you. Planty says, "Jesus, I always knew you were a morose motherfucker, Tom, but you don't have to bring the rest of us down. We've just been told our Tom Hooks has cancer. Tell a joke. Seriously though, love you. I'm gonna miss you when you're dead." Red's Care Orange says, "Sorry about the pancreas, Tom, that blows. You don't have to make a joke of it. We're here for you, so self-pity is allowed. Especially since your girlfriend's obviously the funnier person in the house." Brilliant line. Wait, are women allowed to be funny? The intellectual dark web are correct. It's hard to be a man these days. P.S. I believe you made me claff. That's right, I'm coining this phrase here, claff, love and peace. Thank you, Red's Care Orange. Claff, I don't know if that's a dictionary-worthy definition, Red's Care, but I might like it. Read women being funny. Can I just direct you to, Joan Rivers, Sarah Silverman, Hannah Gatsby, Maria Bamford, Sarah Pascoe, Tiffany Haddish, Heidi Gardner, and Tig Notaro, and my girlfriend. Claff. Very good. Keep them coming, folks. We'll crown you Lord of the Hobbit if we get one we like. Back to the phones, folks. Let's talk about the world and how we fit inside it. Calling from an 053 number. You're on the air. You're talking to a semi-famous stand-up. This is your moment. Where are you calling from and what's on your mind?
Is this me?
It certainly is. What can I do you for?
Hi, this is... Hey, can you hear me? The line's terrible.
I certainly can, caller. Who's calling and what's on your mind?
This is Keith and I'm calling from Wexford.
Hello, Keith from Wexford. What's on your mind? Skewering younger than my last couple of callers by the sound. Just out of curiosity, how old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah, what's your age?
Yeah, I get what you're asking me. I'm just not sure why you're asking.
Okay, well, Keith, it's not a trick question. I'm not trying to bamboozle you. I'm just asking a friendly question to try and get a census on the type of person who's calling in.
Yeah, I'm in my 20s.
In your 20s, okay, good. Late 20s, early 20s, mid 20s?
Doesn't matter.
Certainly beginning to feel like it does.
I'm phoning in with a point to make, not to give you my life story.
Okay, well that's fair. Keith from Wexford in his 20s.
Are you trying to identify me? Is that what you're doing?
No, Keith, it's just part of my patter. It's just part of the running on of monologue that keeps the piece flowing. It's how we keep the momentum of the show going. You feel me?
Yeah, sure. I feel you.
What's on your mind, Keith? What's bothering you today? Sounds like there's a lot to unpack.
I listened to you on that Twitch stream the other week. I have to tell you, you come across as something smug.
Well, that's because I am Keith from Wexford. I'm a smug white man with a platform.
Yeah, smug white man. Can't just say man, have to bring race into it.
Do you have an issue with me referring to myself as a white man?
If you meant it, I wouldn't. The way you say it, like it's dirty or something to be white.
Well, I don't think it is dirty per se to be white, Keith, but one of the many privileges afforded me as a white man is the ability to mock myself for acting like a privileged white man sometimes. I'm sorry if you're reading more into it. What's on your mind, Keith? It sounds like you've got a lot of thoughts to proffer. I can nearly hear the gears grinding from here.
Are you calling me stupid? What's that crack about gears grinding?
Just that it sounds like you've got a lot on your mind, that's all. Go on.
I was just phoning up to talk about this so-called gay bashing that happened over the weekend. I heard you mentioning it earlier there.
It wasn't so-called, Keith. It actually happened. They were actually beaten. One of the boys is in hospital, if I'm not incorrect.
Yeah, 2 lads got beaten up. That's it. That's all that happened. Calling it a hate crime, making sure everyone knows they were gay. Mainstream media lapping it up. Well, why even mention they were gay? I'll tell you why. Bias. It's an agenda to make it out to be worse than it is.
If they were beaten up for being gay, Keith, what would you call it if not a hate crime?
See, if I get beaten up, it doesn't get called a hate crime. You know, that's just some straight white guy getting beaten up. Doesn't even get noticed. But when 2 gays get...
Have you ever been beaten up for being white, Keith? What would you call it? What terminology would you use to describe the vicious attack of 2 people because of their sexuality? Just to keep our listeners up to date, Keith, sorry to step on you a little there. I think I mentioned it earlier.
You know you
But
did.
on Saturday night, a nice young couple minding their own business were beaten up and hospitalised by a group of grown men who saw them kissing during a movie. But just because they were, one of the walking fists on feet bravely called them out for being gay in public. Sorry, just to make sure everyone knows where you're coming from when you defend Nazis.
See, that's, here we go. Calling everyone who disagrees with you a Nazi, that's so typical of you people. You can't have any kind of meaningful discourse without bringing up the N-word. Everyone's a Nazi except you. That just shuts the debate down immediately. See, what I object to here is the use of the term hate crime. All crime is hateful, right? It used to be a crime in this country to be gay, yeah? Isn't it enough it's not illegal anymore?
Well, it's a good first step, but don't you still think some crime is more hateful than others?
Crime is crime. Why isn't rape called a hate crime?
Don't you think it should be?
My point is, if we start attaching the term hate crime to men just being men...
Are you suggesting that the savage beating of 2 young gay men for their crime of having a different sexuality to you, I'm assuming you're straight, Keith, it's just an event of men being men?
It's what we do, you know what I mean? We're grunts, we're filled with testosterone. We see something that doesn't seem right, we take it out. Survival of the fittest. It's Darwin. Calling a hate crime is just capitulating to some woke vision, ignoring reality, pretending men aren't men.
Well, sometimes they're not.
Well,
sorry, Keith, don't mind to step on you.
Yeah, always got to have your say. Never let someone have theirs.
I'm letting you have yours, aren't I? I'm giving you a platform, right? I'm giving you your platform, Keith. Am I giving you your platform? Have I hung up on you?
Not
Have
yet.
I cancelled you?
Not yet. I know what you're trying to do, though. You're virtue signaling right now. I'm saying you shouldn't classify one thing as a hate crime and another thing differently. All you're doing is judging everyone who's not woke like you, making out you're smarter than everyone.
All I'm doing is trying to understand your position so that I can rebuff it in a vain attempt to change your mind. If that signals I have virtue, so be it.
You're not going to change my mind. Do you feel me?
Indulge me. Here's my question. Did you listen to me referring to a brutal beating as a hate crime? And did you think, oh, that's a pet hate of mine, seeing the savage and brutal beating of two homosexual boys being referred to as a hate crime? I'll call the smug white comedian and tell him exactly that.
So-called comedian.
Well, I travel around the country telling jokes for a living. I think that's pretty much the definition of a comedian. I understand if you don't find me funny, Keith. In my own defense, today has been less romantic comedy and more disease of the week.
This is getting boring, mate. I've made my point and you're just...
No. You don't need to be defensive about it. You phone up to talk, right? About this, yeah? So let's talk. I'm listening. It's good to open up. I want to hear what you have to say.
You call this a hate crime because of virtue signalling bias, and that means that these guys' lives will be ruined if they're convicted of what is basically just assault. That's not right, mate.
Do you accept that they shouldn't have beaten up a couple?
They were provoked. I don't see what they did was actually particularly bad. But even if it was, it's not a hate crime. Those boys shouldn't have been kissing out in the open.
Well, it was in a cinema, Keith. I wouldn't necessarily call that out in the open. Do you really think kissing someone is a hate crime, Keith? Come on, you're smarter than that. Let me ask you another question, Keith from Wexford. Do you mind?
To be honest with you, I'm getting bored. So.
Well, now, no. I give you the chance to have your say, and like I said, I'd like you to give me the chance to respond, to open ourselves up to that intelligent debate you're talking about.
It'll be the first time since I called.
Well, we have to start somewhere, Keith. Have you ever gone to the cinema? You know, you're in your 20s, so I'm going to assume the answer is yes, but indulge me.
Of course I have.
So, when you were a bit younger, or not to cast aspersions, even now, have you ever sat in the dark next to someone you were on a date with, maybe sexually attracted to? In the heat of the moment, sitting there in the dark, maybe you were sitting in the back row, maybe watching a classic movie, maybe a Leni Riefenstahl movie. Are you familiar with the powerful movies of Leni Riefenstahl, Keith?
Whatever, mate. I have better things to be doing with my time.
So you're sitting in the back of the dark, sweaty, sticky cinema with someone you have a personal attraction to, and suddenly, all of a sudden, you feel a hand on your leg. It's thrilling. An electric charge runs up and over your body. Can anyone see? Does it matter? Are you with me, Keith? You're watching this powerfully charged Leni Riefenstahl film. Maybe you've already got a hard-on, and the person you're sexually attracted to has just instigated something sexual. Though in this case, I'm going to assume that it's you who's the aggressor. But the next thing you know, you're kissing there in the dark, innocently or otherwise, in front of this truly astonishing, metaphorical Leni Riefenstahl film. You're kissing, your lips are locked, maybe even your tongues. You can feel their breath pushing against yours, and for a moment, everything and everyone in that dark room watching the same movie as you are, they're forgotten. Has that ever happened to you, Keith?
Yeah, sure.
Has this ever happened to you, Keith? Have you ever been in a cinema and kissed someone?
Yeah, I'm not a virgin, yeah? I'm not an incel. I know where you're going with this, what you're implying, how you're trying to twist facts to suit your virtue signaling.
Do you? Because isn't that what cinemas are known for? Young, hot, sweaty people hiding out from parents, friends, turned on and in the dark, rubbing each other.
You've got a sick mind on you, fella. I knew you were a pedo.
Have you ever kissed someone in a cinema?
You're a sick, perverted pedo. I heard you there talking about having sex with 16-year-olds.
It's a simple question, Keith. Have you ever kissed someone in a cinema?
Of course I have. Women.
Good. Then I can bet your whole life, or if you want, the rest of mine. You were never spotted by a bunch of drunken bigots and hospitalized because of it.
Because I'm normal, yeah? If they hadn't been kissing in the first place in a public...
They weren't. They were kissing in a dark screen.
If they hadn't been kissing in a public place, then those lads would have seen them and...
If people were watching them instead of the film, then those two boys aren't the problem. Because what you're telling me, Keith, it was two young boys fought. They were beaten up and hospitalized by bigoted arseholes because they dared to act like teenagers act and ended up necking at the same cinema as these yokels. You're telling me that as a result of woke politics, this vicious beating will be, in your opinion, misleadingly classified as a hate crime rather than just men being men, leading to the perpetrators of this vicious crime having their whole lives ruined for ganging up on two happy, in-love teenagers and beating them to a pulp because, and this is the important part, they hated them for who they are, and what they represent. And, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not, but correct me, but isn't that a literal hate crime?
You're so duped. You don't even get it. They should have known they were going to piss people off. I've got no problem with being gay.
It sounds a lot like you do.
I have no problem with it, mate. Because unlike you, I'm open-minded. But if they hadn't been sitting in that cinema kissing each other in the first place, this is what's happened to us, mate. Do you get me? Someone does something provocative and then complains when someone's provoked. Like you, talking about abortion, like you know what you're talking about on a gaming page. You're so glib about everything. You're such a hypocrite. We're the pariahs. The idea that being straight has become this thing we're not allowed to be proud of. We're the new faggots. We're the outsiders, the minority. We're called Nazis for daring to stand up and point out that if these guys are convicted of committing a hate crime, then their whole lives are ruined just because these two little pansies couldn't act like men and fight back. They're being protected by this politically correct terminology, and we're the people being put down, oppressed, and made to feel bad just for being white,
Wexford.
for being straight, for being
Keith,
men, for understanding that abortion is murder when everyone else gets to act high and mighty. And if you don't see that, then you're the stupid one. You're the one who's in denial. Cut me off then. Cancel me because you don't like what I'm saying. Cut me off because I'm someone with an opposing viewpoint that you can't argue with. I hope that cancer fucking cancels you out and everyone else around you. Calling me a fascist for telling the truth. Fuck you! Heil Hitler then! Is that what you want to hear? Heil Hitler! Heil Hitler, you fucking...
Thanks for your call, Keith. It's been illuminating. Folks, I'll always encourage young folk to get more political. And you have. And I believe good will out because of that, but alas and alack, as we move further in the direction of being kinder to people and trying to lift up the vulnerable, confused people like poor Keith there will always tend to ask that most burning of questions. Why are they getting better treatment than I am? What's in it for me? Keith, if you're still listening, I want you to calm down, Keith. Talk some dope maybe. And I want you to think about volunteering somewhere. And I want you to think about volunteering somewhere vulnerable people are being helped. Sign up to an LGTB help group. Talk to victims of abuse. Volunteer at a refugee hall and help serve food to people torn from their homes by senseless wars. Do something that opens up your world a little bit. And if you do nothing else today or tomorrow, do something kind for someone. I fear for your future, Keith, when I'm no longer here for you. And for the record, Keith, cancer is not contagious. Unfortunately, fascism is. Heil Hitler indeed, folks. Fuck you too, I guess, Keith from Wexford. Okay, folks, getting a lot of pretty nice IMs in, lots of well-wishing, which will always sound like a cranky old politician being told off by my successor. I do appreciate greatly. Here's a nice one from Tom's Cancer. You sound like you're going crazy. Can I call and talk? Sure, Tom's Cancer. I'd love to hear what you have to say for yourself. Call Brendan, he'll put you straight through. Crazy Cartwright, devastated to hear the news, Tom. I honestly live my life through yours. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Hey, can I get a goldfish now? Ha, very good. A poltergeist quote. I like it. That shows our age, Crazy Cart. Good movie. Did you ever see Poltergeist, Brendan?
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix. Came out a couple of years ago.
It came out in 1982. You telling me the classic Steven Spielberg Tobe Hooper family horror ghost story from the early 80s has received a remake? Is that what you're saying?
I guess I am.
They remade Poltergeist. That's very disheartening. They remake all the classics. Let that be a lesson, folks. Everything and everyone is replaceable. Hell, I'm just following in the shadow of Bill Hicks. Pancreatic cancer killed him. I'm literally stealing his material.
And your girlfriend is funnier than you?
And my girlfriend is funnier than me. If you came back from the dead and had to haunt someone, who'd you haunt, Brendan?
I don't know. Is it only someone close to me or can it be anyone?
Let's say anyone.
Jared Kushner. I just appear in his mirror reading out all the reasons he's going to hell.
Yeah, it might backfire on you, Brendan. You might end up being locked into a nightly ritual of masturbatory fantasy as he jerks off to every bullet point on that list while you watch in despair.
Then I'll just haunt a spooky Canadian forest, X-Files style. I have Tom's Cancer holding on the line there whenever you're ready.
Tom's Cancer. Tom's Cancer, are you there?
Tom's Cancer is Sarah, playing a character. Tom clearly recognises her but plays along.
Hey, Tom, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through loud and clear.
Tommy, are you okay? Are you okay, Tommy?
Yeah, I've had better days, Tom's Cancer.
I know, sorry about that, my bad. How you feeling?
Yeah, I guess it could be worse. You been listening to the show?
Yeah, rough going.
Yeah.
Who watches Father Ted anymore?
Right, thank you. So, what's on your mind, Tom's Cancer? What would you like to talk about? I'm a pretty busy guy, got a whole world to fix in the next 3 months. Bad things happening out there.
Well, what would you like to talk about? It's your show. You sound sad.
Well, a man in his 20s just phoned up and Heil Hitler down the phone at me.
So let's talk. I'm just here to listen to you and to slowly kill you from the inside. Aren't you always telling your callers it's good to open up? Tell us about being told you have the me.
Well, you were there, so...
Play along. Maybe your listeners would like to hear about it.
I'm not sure they would, Tom's Cancer.
Indulge me.
Why?
Because I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. You can talk to me about anything.
Yeah, I was in a sterile room after multiple biopsies, blood tests, and several moments of me pissing myself one too many times. What else would you like to talk about, Tom's Cancer? I've got...
How do you feel right now? In yourself, be honest. It's just you and me. How has today made you feel?
Like I'm 150 years old.
And? Come on, Hooks, talk to me. Don't be a dick about this, even if it is your default setting.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit afraid. It has occurred to me, I think, that I should be afraid.
What frightens you? Dying?
Do you really want to talk about this, Tom's Cancer?
Yes.
On air?
Yes.
Like this?
Yes.
Now?
Yes, you live your life on stage and on air. You won't talk to me any other way, so why not talk about it like this? If not now, when? How does the thought of dying make you feel?
Fuck. That's how it makes me feel. Fuck.
Why?
Why? Because I started to like myself a little bit.
You didn't before?
Not so much, but I was finally becoming someone I nearly liked. I've lived a very long life, you know, under one shadow or another.
What shadows?
I don't know, Tom's Cancer. Despite myself, my father, other better comedians, addictions, people who make being happy seem easy. It all added up to an incredible level of self-loathing I tried to transfer into my stand-up routines and into my relationships.
Yes.
Yeah, and finally I've started to find my way towards the light, casting those shadows. I've finally become the type of person I want to be. You know, I have this show, seem to be doing something good. I seem to be doing something good. And then one day I go into a doctor's office and he says to me, straight face, "We found a shadow." It's not fair, is it? You're not playing fair.
I'm indiscriminate, Tom. I'd call that fair. Are you angry? Sad? Happy?
Happy?
It happens. Some people diagnosed with a terminal illness can feel a kind of release in that diagnosis, a reassurance in their control being taken away from them.
Okay, angry? Yeah, sure, like, you know, fuck everyone else for not being where I am right now. Sad? I don't know. I'm a sad on the inside clown. It's kind of my shtick, so happy? Yeah, sure, why not? Maybe I have a legitimate right not to have to be funny for a moment.
You've always felt the need to be funny?
I'm a stand-up comic.
Fair. I suppose the real question is, why have you always felt the need to be funny?
I'm a stand-up comic. You know, it takes a particular kind of person to get up in front of strangers and do the job I do. We're not normal people. We need validation. How come we not? We spend years perfecting an act that makes it seem effortless when we stand up in front of an audience and make them laugh. We practice right, tear out hair and nails, become alcoholics, addicts, singularly fueled by the sheer anxiety that one person out there might not look like they're having a good time. We refocus our entire lives to the detriment of every single other thing around us, just so that for a couple of hours of an evening we can stand up in a room full of strangers and make them laugh.
Isn't that enough? To be able to make people laugh?
Yeah, for a while, but the sad truth about a comedian, any comedian, is we want to mean more than just the laughter. By observing the world in order to mock it, we end up finding the things we want to change within it, I think. And so, no, we're not normal people. We crave your validation, folks. Which after a while can make us hate you and ourselves. And worse, we're so happy to debase ourselves in front of you. Tell you our every sin and secret in the vain hope that you recognize something in what we say, enough to make us feel just a little bit less alone. That the very act of trying to connect with you on a personal level every night makes us feel empty on stage, confessing to you his darkest secrets and framing them as comedy, to the point maybe that we can only do it on stage. And that's it. All I want to do is go on stage now, this second, go to a club and unleash all of this confused and angry vitriol onto an unsuspecting audience with the veneer of being a comedian. An audience I can see and feel and smell. No offense to the mostly silent, unwashed out there, but you give me nothing. I feel nothing coming back for you. But to get up on stage, I feel the drive, the need, because it's who I am. Even as I sit here in my own house, the news that I'm not going to be able to do that ever again ringing in my ears. I want to rant.
Why not do it now, on air? Is Tom Hooks scared? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking I don't want to do this right now. So thanks for your...
Don't cut me off, Tom. Don't do that. We're here now. What are you thinking?
What am I thinking? I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. And that's okay, folks, because everyone dies. We're all hurting in that way, jumping off the bridge at different times and slowly committing a kind of thinly veiled suicide just by agreeing to continue existing on this planet for such a finite period of time.
Okay, so you're going to die. Who are you going to haunt?
My girlfriend, just to make sure she never moves on. No, I don't believe in an afterlife. I'm a rational human being, so nah. I know. I'm being both arrogant and reductive. Smug, Keith from Wexford. I'm being smug. The funny thing is, I've died before. At least when you're on stage, at least when you die on stage, you can come back. And no matter how much it hurts to walk back off stage when no one's found you funny, you can drown that feeling in drink or hate. I don't want to, but sometimes I feel nothing but hate.
Hate is a normal response to fear, isn't it? But it's how we react to it that marks us.
Yeah, I want to hate everyone around me who aren't dying from that malady I'm carrying. When you have a breakup, even if you never loved the person you were with, once it's done, you begin to hate every single couple on this planet for appearing happy, even if only on the surface. Is it really wrong when you see a pair of star-crossed lovers with their whole life ahead of them, holding hands, to think that it's not fucking fair?
What do you think is not fair about people in love? Don't you love? Aren't you in love?
What? Why did they get to have their happiness and I don't?
Why shouldn't they have their happiness just because you don't?
Because I want to hate, okay? They're an easy target. That's what it is. I could try to be sanguine like the therapist, like you, Tom's Cancer. That's your real name. calmly and methodically poking around in all the dark areas with that infuriatingly cold torch of analysis. Now my father, my dumb, ignorant bottle of whiskey and my dickhead dad coldly telling me the reason the world is fucked is because of libtards and collards. I had this memory of him, holding me, must be 5 or 6. I'm crying, standing at the top of the stairs, and he's behind me, hand pressed against my chest, stopping me from falling, and for once he's being kind. If only in that one blurred memory. I don't want to be cruel, I want to flip the switch and be better than this. He managed this, if only for a moment. And despite itself, that offers a kind of comfort. Can't I hold on to that the way he held on to me? But I'm just angry, I want to hate on everyone being able to live when I want. Are they even living?
What are they doing if they're not living, Tom?
People say to me, how do you get up there and do what you do? I could never do it. I'd be terrified. Terrified to do what I do, which is to get up in front of people and say funny shit for an hour. Sit there and try to explain to people why they're wrong and I'm right. Terrified. From the moment we're born, we're heading down an over-polished shit chute towards an open grave. Doesn't that terrify you? It sure as fuck terrifies me. Every morning people get up and then drop dead, folks, without ever fulfilling a single dream, because they put it off and they put it off until they justify their failings by baldly stating that having dreams is for children, and sneer at people making attempts to fulfill theirs. That terrifies me. You terrify me. Every single person on this planet who has never fulfilled a dream because of your own insecurity and egos. It terrifies me that people like my father, like Keith, would prefer to look at others and take their fear and hate out on them instead of offering them kindness and living their lives. And it terrifies me to think I can hate like that too. I don't want to hate. I don't. But people who see two men kissing instead of thinking, that's nice, they love each other, they think, how fucking dare they? People like you make it really hard not to sink into the mire of negativity. I keep thinking, why me and not you? Do you know what that means? I'm wishing death on them. But what's it all been for if I've tried to be good and I'm the one dying? I hate the idea that it's all for nothing. I hate that I'm dying and you're not.
But I am, Tom. I'm dying with you. What do you want?
Out of life. To not die, I guess. Okay, I never expected to have a legacy, but I surely didn't want immortality, but I at least thought I'd have longevity. What do I want? To mean something, to have hope. But I can't.
Why?
That image, my dad holding me, 5, maybe 6 years old, he's holding me at the top of a set of stairs. He's standing just behind me, his hand on my chest to maybe stop me falling, and I'm crying, he's holding on to me, protecting me from what? Remembering it gave me hope, thinking about this single sweet moment in our otherwise fucked up. It gave me a kind of hope.
But that's good.
But then I remembered the day I'm diagnosed, trying not to reach for the nearest bottle of something, not to dull the pain, but just to fuck me up enough that I don't have to face my own reality. It all comes crashing in. He's not comforting me, he's sneering, pushing. I'm confused and frightened because I used to believe when I was that age that I could stand at the top of the stairs, the steps, jump forward and fly down. Fly! I don't know. must have been a dream, but it was so vivid, this dream, that I took it to be real. And so I told him, my father, that I could fly. And he sneered, of course, because no one can fly. I was adamant. He grabs me, pushes me up the stairs. Prove it, he says. And he drags me to the top of the stairs. And suddenly here, in the cold light of reality, it occurs to me that I should be afraid, that it was a dream, that I can't fly, that no one can fly, no matter how much they want it to be true. He pushes me to the top of the stairs and spins me around, starts telling me to prove it to him. To prove that I can fly, prove that by letting go, by jumping into the space above the stairs and gliding down. Yeah, and I'm crying now, screaming really, as the crushing humiliation and the horror of the situation pushes into me. My father isn't protecting me. He's teaching me a lesson about the cruelty of life's realities by bullying me. This little 5-year-old. And it's in that moment, I think, that I cease to believe in anything good. I realize that I can only react to the world around me as it happens. I cannot believe in God. I cannot believe that people are good, because this lesson my father is teaching me is not just that people can't fly. Of course people can't fly. I was a confused 5-year-old. The lesson my father is teaching me is that life is unfair. In this moment of absolute vulnerability, that there is no such thing as hope. But I've changed. Because when that doctor in that sterile room told me I was going to die from stage 3 terminal pancreatic cancer, I accepted it with a frightened little nod and a tiny little fuck. But despite myself, I tried to hope. But this cancer, this rot inside of me, brought me back to another vulnerable moment in my life where he had been a father just for a moment. And for the first time, I was glad to have that sweet, gentle memory. Until I really remembered it. Until I realized what he had done to me and how it's followed me through my life. I managed to turn what was one good memory of my father against myself, and I hate him for it. And myself. I hate myself for all the bad decisions I made that maybe got me into this situation, because that's what you do, isn't it? You second guess yourself from every possible angle just to blame yourself for this disease. I smoked, I drank, did drugs, did everything wrong, hurt the people I loved who loved me. I achieved nothing in life and realized it too late. I turned myself into the ghost of my own father, a man I've hated and blamed for so long, I'd forgotten why. I want to be better than that. I want to not be cruel. Believe I can do some good. I thought I was getting there, but maybe I'm like every other person I shit on for never living their lives. Maybe I just deserve to be punished like this.
Is that how you see it? You're being punished for some imagined sin?
I don't know. Not really, no. I just want it to mean something. A little word of advice out there, everyone out there. You've absolutely no idea what's going on in other people's lives. You don't even know what's going on inside your own body. I didn't. If someone is struggling and that's inconvenient to you, you're the problem, not them. You need to live your life. And you need to let other people live theirs. Stop hating. Please, I can't stress that enough. Hatred is a cancer. You start small and you don't know you're feeling it, and suddenly becomes all-consuming. For what? Folks, if I have any message left to give before I leave this earth, it's basically this: don't be a cunt. That's it. Yeah, I regret the times I was, and I wish I had more time to make some kind of amends and be the person I was becoming. Folks, yeah, I'm tired, not gonna lie. That was my last stand. I'm tired. I don't think I can do this anymore. I've blown my wad and I think I'll call it a night. Tom's cancer.
I'm here. I'm here with you. I'll go through it with you. I'm here for you.
Yeah, it's gonna sound weird saying this, but I love you too, Tom's cancer, and I think I need you right now. Thanks for your call. Folks, it's been a strange night, it's been a strange day. A strange days call for what, Brendan?
Strange retorts, boss. Thinking I need a couple of whiskies, maybe some cocaine. Real sorry about the cancer, boss. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah, it's a bummer, all right. Yeah. Okay, folks, one last word from our sponsors, then we'll call it a night. Durex condoms are the leading condom brand in Europe, and just like we humans, it comes in many different varieties and flavors. If, like me, you enjoy protected sex without complications, then Durex condoms are the only ones for you. 99.99% effective against pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases. 100% lab tested, easy to apply, and will always give you the aura of sexual responsibility. That's not something to be sniffed at. Okay, folks, we're gonna wrap up now. Hooked in shall unhook. Any final words, Brendan?
Well, yeah, I like what you said. Don't be a cunt.
Yeah. And I can't think of any better words to finish a show with. Don't